Hey, welcome back to HeartFit 365. This is Dave Bazanko, and today I'm going to be talking to you about our recipe for black bean quinoa salad. Now, quinoa on its own tastes pretty bland, and I can see why a lot of people don't like quinoa because it sort of tastes pretty bland on its own. But what we're going to be doing today is making sort of a Mexican black bean quinoa salad. And I say Mexican because there's going to be some cumin, some cilantro, some lime juice in there, which are three pretty basic ingredients that we use when we make our Mexican flavors and seasonings. So what we're going to start with right now, I've got 2 cups of water in a pot coming to a boil on the stove. We're going to add the quinoa to that. As soon as it comes to a boil, we're going to be just following the package directions, making what will be the equivalent of 2 cups of cooked quinoa when we're done. So while that's starting to cook, we're going to get at doing the rest of the recipe. So I'm going to put that off to the side for a minute. Now, in order to make this recipe, it's really pretty simple. What we're going to do is put our liquid ingredients into a bowl. We're going to whisk that up. And then once we've got that together, then we're going to add in some of the more chunkier ingredients, and then we'll add the quinoa in when it's done, and really quite simply it'll be finished up in no time. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in a 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. Okay, 1 cup. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add 1 level teaspoon of cumin. Then what we're going to do is 1 clove of garlic. So if you like to mince your garlic, that's fine. I've got this garlic press. Just jam that piece of garlic in there. Give it a quick crush one more time. Use your knife, and I know that'll dull your blade if you get too close to that steel, so be careful with that. Get that garlic in there. The next thing we're going to want to do is do 2 tablespoons of lime juice. Now, as I'm saying that, we've got our water coming to a boil. So let's just do the quinoa real quick. There's 1. Let's just grab another 1/4 cup measuring cup real fast. All right, there we go. There's our 1 1/4 cups of quinoa. We're going to put that back on the boil. So we're going to put that on for 15 minutes. And we're going to continue to let that simmer away now and cook at probably number 3 on the stove. That could be, say, medium-low. And it's just going to boil away now and cook for 15 minutes. In the meantime, we were at our lime juice. So we're going to do 2 tablespoons of lime juice. There's 1. There's 2. And we need 1 teaspoon of sea salt. So where's my teaspoon again? Salt goes in. Then we're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. This will have a little bit of a kick to it, but not too much. And these are just rough estimates. They don't have to be exact. All right, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to just give that a quick little mix up. So if you've got a whisk, the idea here right now, just incorporate all those ingredients, just like that. Pretty darn simple. All right, now you're going to need 1 can of black beans. I've already taken 1 can, drained it in my drainer here, my strainer. Add that can of black beans in there. Then we're going to take our onion, 1 onion, 1 medium onion, not too big. And again, we're just going to cut this down real quick. And while you're doing this, just remember that, cutting up vegetables, just be careful while you're doing that. Don't go too quickly. I see my son trying to do this all the time. He thinks he's a chef, and I'm afraid he's going to lose a finger every now and then. So just take your time. Speed isn't the issue here. It's quick enough to make this salad. You don't have to really be too fast about it. And the only thing you want to watch for with the onions is just try not to have too big of chunky pieces in there, because if you're having it for lunch and you got to go back to work, sometimes that can be a little bit overwhelming on your breath if you can't get rid of all that oniony, garlicky flavor out of your system. So just if you want a little less onion or garlic, it's totally up to you how much you put in. I like having lots of it in, so that's kind of what I do. Now, we've got 1 red pepper. Real quickly, we're just gonna dice that up. Okay, the last thing we're gonna add is some fresh cilantro. So I've got some fresh cilantro over here, and just a bunch will do. I gotta tell you, I usually buy a bunch of cilantro once a week at the grocery store, and we seem to go through it pretty decently throughout the week. I usually use it to make pizza on the weekends, and usually at least once or twice to do our quinoa salad during the week. If you've ever been to Mexico, you know what I'm talking about. There's just that distinct flavor of cilantro that just sort of lets you know you're down in that area of the world. Love the fresh smell of that. So we're just gonna fold that in, incorporate it. We're gonna add we're gonna add the cooked quinoa to it in just a few minutes when it's ready, and yeah, that's gonna be all there is to it. You know, one thing that I started doing about 10 years ago when I started my lifestyle change was I started a cookbook. It was basically a book that I created with all of the recipes that my family liked, that they enjoyed. And you know, I'm not a chef, but I'm finding recipes that when they are heart healthy, when my family will eat them, I started recording them. And what's really cool now, I always said to my kids, you know, I was going to hand this book down to them, but what they end up doing is taking pictures on their iPhones, and you know, that way they've got these recipes when they're off at university and needing to cook meals. So my son will always say to me, hey, you have that recipe for salmon, or you have that recipe for your quinoa salad, and I'll just, you know, take a picture and email it over to them. So having a book like this is kind of great. That way you don't have recipes sort of scattered all around your house. But this is just something that I started. I've got 57 recipes in here now. Everything from dark chocolate souffle on date nights to oven-baked salmons to Asian salad with black bean salmon, all different kinds of salsas. Everything from Guinness shepherd's pie, which is kind of cool, to Alfredo sauce and shrimp that doesn't have any of the traditional creams or heavy fats in it. You know, I've got just a ton of great things in there. Lemon roasted chicken, which we had last night for dinner. Very, very basic items that you can easily learn how to make. I think having a cookbook like this is great because it sort of works with you as you continue to cook for your family, and you can make notations in it, what works and what doesn't work, but it sort of keeps everything in one place. So I kind of keep that in the kitchen. It's just something that, you know, I started, and you know, one day we'll look back and say, hey, this has been kind of a fun journey. Who knows, it might even turn into a Heartfit cookbook one day. But right now we're at recipe number 56. We're adding them, and the only recipes I put in there are the ones that my kids will eat or my family will eat. So, you know, it's more about finding things that are healthy and that everybody enjoys versus forcing people along on this journey with you. Because I can tell you right now, if you force people to eat quinoa when they don't care for it, they're not going to be happy campers, and they're just going to go somewhere else and eat somebody else's food, or go to a fast food restaurant and get their fix there. So you got to make sure that the foods you're eating, you adjust them so that they sort of meet everybody's nutritional needs, everybody's happy with the flavors, and then at the end of the day, if everybody's hungry, or if everybody's satisfied after they've eaten and nobody's hungry, you're doing a great job as a cook. So yeah, that's just a little bit about the cookbook that I started, and maybe one day, if enough people ask for it, I'll create a cookbook online and make that available to everybody, okay? So we're just about ready with the quinoa salad here. It's almost done. We've got 5 more minutes to go, and when that's ready, we'll bring it over, we'll fold it all together, and that's as easy as it is to make quinoa salad for your spinach salads at lunchtime. So, you know, quinoa is a great source of protein. So are the beans that we've put in here, the black beans into the salad. So, you know, if you're in the height of summer season, you've got sort of heirloom tomatoes ripe on the vine. This salad on its own with some heirloom tomatoes would be an awesome side dish to any lunch, to any dinner meal actually. But, you know, because we're going to be putting the quinoa into it, I think when you put the tomatoes in there, it kind of softens them up a little bit, more than I like. So I'm not going to put tomatoes into this recipe today, but just on its own, throwing some tomatoes into that recipe is going to give you a great side dish. What we like to do is, again, we like to get protein into our meals. So when we have our spinach salad, what I will do with this when I'm done is put that quinoa salad onto a plate that's got baby spinach on it, or perhaps some chopped up fresh kale. And you know, that's it. That's all you really need. There's enough dressing on this salad to dress or flavor the spinach or the kale that's beneath it. And it's just about that time to pull the quinoa off, so I'm going to do that right now. As you can see, I've got some pretty bland looking quinoa in that pot. But what we're going to do is just take that out now, add it into our salad. Try to scrape as much of it out as you can. And you can see that yields about 2 cups of cooked quinoa. All right. So all we're gonna do now is just fold this in, and before I do that, actually, I should do it right now. I didn't put any pepper in. I always like to put a little bit of cracked pepper in to all my dishes. So we're just gonna put a bit of cracked pepper in, and then just give it a bit of a stir up. Mix it up really nice. And this will go into the fridge now. This is gonna sit, like I said, for 3 days now until we finish it off. We just actually had lunch today and we finished off our salad, so I'm taking this extra 15 minutes now to make the next batch, and we're good. We're golden now for lunch for the next 3 days. And this is really great too if you're working away from home and you don't quite know what healthy meals you can take with you to work. This is awesome. I mean, getting any kind of container that can hold some salad, throw this on top. It's not going to make the spinach wilt, and you know, at the end of the day, this is an awesome, very flavorful quinoa salad. So hopefully that's a great way to introduce quinoa into your family, into your lunchtime menu. And yeah, remember, if you like this recipe, you want some more, think about subscribing to our website, our YouTube channel, heartfit365.com is our website where there's more great information there. But yeah, you know what? We've got lots of great videos coming up, lots of great interviews coming up, lots more great recipes coming up. So tell all your friends if you want to learn more about heart healthy living, heart fit living, subscribe to our YouTube channel and get updated every week. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next week.